Alrighty, guys. Welcome to the show. Welcome, guys. Uh, Apparently, people that do follow the show, we don't have our intro video due to the fact that Eric, the producer of this show, is lagging something terrible today. But that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna give him a B plus for effort today. Yes, Eric. God willing. Hopefully, you don't screw up the next one. But anyway, guys, welcome to the show. We got a heated show today. I want to piggyback off of what we discussed yesterday on our audio show on Spotify, Google, Apple, and Amazon Music. We got into what's going down in downtown Dallas, right? Downtown Dallas was experiencing a an event that they had, which was to basically uh, show some type of uh, uh, what's the words? Help me out, Eric. It's been a long day. Uh, to celebrate the Alphabet Month, or what they like to call it, the Pride Month, right? We call it the Alphabet Month, LGBTQ plus. And Tommy here, we're going to bring Tommy Nation Politics into the show here momentarily. Joining us once again will be Pedro Orta, a former CIA intelligent agent, joining the show once again. Yeah, guys, it's a big, big show. We see Pedro here in the digital green room. We got him all set. We got Tommy here from Dallas, Texas. And we also have Pedro from Tulsa, Oklahoma joining the show. So we're going to bring them into the show, guys. Welcome, welcome, Pedro. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, Michael, for having me on your show this evening. Much appreciated.
And it's much appreciated, sir, having you on the show. I love the Trump 2020 merchandise that you have back there. I mean, you're all decked out in Trump, man. That's
Make
awesome.
America great. Keep America great. We
Yeah,
really need to make America great again.
we do, Pedro. And like I said, I'm about to bring Tommy here in from Tommy Nation Politics just momentarily, but I want to get your insights here, sir, on what's going on with this Dallas event. I don't know if you've been watching the event take place, but there's been an extreme presence for the LGBTQ plus.
The LGBT movement has gathered a lot of strength and steam and power through the years. And every year they have their Pride Month. And with every year that keeps coming, they just keep gathering momentum and more momentum and more momentum. And they're going to try to just continue to build on that momentum through the years. Because at the end of the day, if they don't push their agenda, they will be a minority like they've always been. And unfortunately, they're trying to ram their agenda down everybody's throat. They want
Yeah,
people pretty much to accept who they are. And I've worked with people on that community. I've had relatives in that community. I have nothing against them personally, but they have no right to impose their agenda on our children, on our lives, on our values, our own religious beliefs. Uh, there's a fine line of how much activism to get into, whereas you're no longer being an activist, but you almost become a tyrant in which you're trying to impose your worldview on those who don't agree with you. Uh,
sure.
that's basically what's going on, in the simplest form to explain it.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I totally agree. Pedro, hold that thought. We're gonna bring Tommy here into the show. Welcome, guys. This is Tommy or Thomas Souls Barry. Is that how you say your last name? I'm terrible with last
Salisbury,
names.
like
But
King Saul had a berry. You can
Salisbury.
just call me Tommy
Yes.
from Tommy Nation Politics.
So
Free
this is
thinking,
Tom.
innovative, open minded, guys. Just so you know.
There you go.
Free
This is
thinking.
Tommy from Tommy Nation Politics, guys.
Let's go.
Guys, bear with me. It's been a long day. Long day. We've been doing a lot. Literally first day here coming into Restream. We were with StreamYard, but I'm just not happy with them. It's a company not for us. But Tommy, I want to get your insights with this Dallas event. You happen to reside in Dallas, Texas. You know,
I do.
What do you think? If you heard Pedro's comment there, where they don't have a right, pretty much, right, Pedro? They don't have a right to, to bring children into an adult entertainment of a nightclub. Do you
I
agree with
don't.
that, or do you feel that some of this is okay?
So, whenever I try to go through an argument in my mind as a free thinker, I try to think about the framing and the premise on which you've put your argument, right? And I try to think about whether or not these premises are true or not. And is it an adult? What did you say it was? An adult event, adult nightclub event, drag queens
Yeah,
dancing.
it's basically, if you're familiar with that club, I don't know how far you are from that nightclub there in downtown Dallas, or
Which
how
one was
far
it?
you
I
are
know
from.
them all. I know them
Okay,
all. Was it
if I
S4?
have it correctly, it was off of like the main drag there. I didn't get the street correct, but it's basically from the video of it. We do have a video plug in where John Dole, basically a big time advocate for conservatism, was with his crew, and they actually went to downtown Dallas, right near that nightclub, and basically was saying, you are indoctrinating children, you're grooming children, you should be ashamed of yourself for bringing these children into a adult entertainment of a nightclub. It's adult entertainment, Tommy.
So how? Okay. So how is it adult entertainment? How is it adult entertainment?
Okay,
How is it?
with all due respect, you
When I was a
apparently didn't
kid,
see the video.
I used to dress up as things all the time and dance around my room. I wouldn't call
Yeah,
that adult entertainment. I would call that performing. I would impersonating a person. I don't
uh,
understand the adult
I
entertainment. Where
I
the
understand
alcohol?
where.
The alcohol
No,
was that? Is that
what I'm
coming?
gonna. Yes, there was alcohol in there. Pedro probably seen the video. Adult entertainment. What I mean by this is that you had men that were drag queens in female clothing. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not against that. You want to wear a
Have you ever seen
female
musical
clothing?
theater?
Yeah, no, hold on. You want to wear a female clothing, by all means, go ahead. That, to each his own, whatever floats your boat. But the adult entertainment in that is they're wearing provocative clothing in front of 7 and 8 year olds. That's a little far fetched, if you ask me. Pedro, go ahead, come on into this, sir.
I mean, what they're trying to do is they're trying to groom, and that word groom is exactly what they're trying to do: groom these children, sensitize them so that they would actually condone and approve of these actions, so that they would begin to
Who's
question their
they?
own
Just
identity.
wondering who's they. Is it me?
The,
I'm gay. Do I want to groom children? So go
not
ahead.
every
If you're gonna instead of saying they, why don't you just say Tommy Nation
not,
Politics?
not every and not every gay, as I stated earlier. I have worked with people in the gay community, the lesbian community. I've had relatives who ascribe to
Okay.
that lifestyle.
But
I've
but that
gotten
and that makes you now that makes your what you just said that makes the
they
generalization
are
okay. It
there
doesn't.
are gay people out there who are not militant, but
Let's
then
talk
what
about
you
the
have is
specific people who you have a problem with,
you've got
not
some
generalize.
gays that are militant and are trying to impose their way upon others. So one way they're trying to do it is by grooming children, synthesize children, let the
How?
children.
I want I really do. I want to talk to you. I really do. So I just like to take this to break this down. So how are they doing this? You just made a claim. I need evidence now. How are they
Okay,
trying to group children? Please just break it down for me, please.
and pornography is one example. If you look at pornography, you're looking at a photo, but then you can look at pornography in the form of a video, or you can look at pornography in the form of actual a sexual act or a similar type event like a strip club. That's a live event. So
Strip clubs
by
are adult.
bring,
They're adult entertainment for sure.
but
Strip
bringing
clubs are.
children into an environment where they're seeing men dressed as women and men dressed provocative, you basically are
That's the part.
exposing
Is that the part? Is that the part
you're
you don't like?
exposing the
That not only
eyes
they're women, they're also
and
provocative
ears
women.
Hold.
of
Yeah, let,
these
let me say.
children.
Yeah, yeah. Let me say something right now. I don't mean to
I'm
interrupt
sorry,
you,
Michael. I
Pedro.
just don't like this framing. It's just very bad.
No, no,
I'm
no, no,
sorry.
no. It's framing that needs to be explained here, not only on this show but every other show in America, because this is the framing that does not get addressed correctly. Pedro makes a good point. They're grooming children. Okay,
Who's
what they're
they?
doing.
Who's they?
Who,
Who's they? They're grooming
everybody,
children. Who's
everybody
they?
that's in this country that is participating in this erratic, disturbed behavior. Tommy, this is third world principles that Pedro can relate on. He's a former intel officer. He's seen this stuff firsthand. This is nothing new to him. He's explaining stuff on a highly intelligent level.
It's funny because you just mentioned that he's a Central Intelligence Agency officer. He's talking about they push an agenda. What does the CIA do but push an agenda? Didn't they overthrow Muammar Gaddafi? Didn't they overthrow Mossadegh? Meanwhile, you have a Trump hat on yourself. What? The only person I see with an agenda is you. I'm sorry to say. I don't know who they are because they're not me.
Tommy, this
America great again.
Exactly.
I need evidence, guys. I want to listen to you, but I need
this man can
evidence.
explain. This man can express any type of narrative that he wants to express. If he
I
wants
know
to
he's
be
CIA. He can do any narrative. He can do
if
all
he wants
kinds
to
of
be a
propaganda.
MAGA guy, if he wants to be a leftist, a liberal, that's his own discretion. But we're talking about grooming children.
I'm talking about how. You're leveling heavy claims. You're leveling. Yes, you are leveling heavy claims, Michael.
They're bringing children to a nightclub. That is not ideal for children. It's designed for adults.
Many adults didn't even drink around the kids. The kids had a good influence on our society.
Doesn't matter if they were drinking or not drinking. They're in front of
what
these
people do
women,
matters.
Men. It's however you want to say they are.
I'm getting that. That's the part you don't like. Not only were they women, they were provocative women. They showed their boobies, and that's not appropriate for children. That grooms them. I get that. Okay, I get what you're saying. I want to understand what you believe. Okay, I don't want to demonize you. I'm just trying to understand what you believe. So let me know if I'm saying anything wrong. I'm just really trying to understand what you're saying. You think that the reason that it's adult entertainment is because they dressed up as women, and women are naturally sexual because they have boobs, and you saw cleavage, that automatically makes it an adult nightclub event. Even though literally everybody everywhere, Hollywood dresses up as things all the time, Halloween, and goes around. What is it? Like the $1 bills that they're tipping the drag queens? Well, what about the capitalist system that exploits our labor and funnels the wealth to them? Like literally, you guys priorities. But who's they?
But
I don't get it.
When kids are going on through trick or treating and they're playing that spooky goose or goal, or they're playing a princess or this and that, they're not wearing provocative clothing. They're wearing something that's ideal for the whole thing of but I mean, who cares if the mother made it? They got it at Walmart, they got it at Target. It doesn't matter. Go ahead, Pedro. It looks like you're fired up, sir.
Go ahead, Pedro.
When I was working at the CIA, working for the government, in any of those government offices, if I would have engaged in such type of provocative kind of physical activity amongst men and women, I could have very easily have had charges of harassment filed against me, and I would have been disciplined for it and potentially fired for it. But yet here we are in a situation in which we're doing this to children. I'm sorry.
The children in CIA are the exact same thing. You're right.
Children are children. Children are the most precious things we have in society. I mean, they are going to be our future generation. They're the ones who are going to lead after us. We'll die. We'll get out of the way, and they'll come behind us. And we need to be able to raise responsible adults. There's no need to be grooming children and trying to impose on them our own sexual fantasies because we want to do it. That's basically who they are. We've got radical gays, radical lesbians who basically are trying to groom the next generation of adults, the children, by exposing the children to their lifestyle so that they will accept the lifestyle and they will be part of that community. That is unacceptable. We should be able to let the children grow up, enjoy their childhood, and not try to impose on them a radical leftist, gay, or lesbian kind of lifestyle on them. Let them grow up. Let them be 18 years old of age. Once they're an adult, if they want to become a lesbian, want to become gay, that's between them and their own basically relationship with God. Just leave it to them. But don't try to make a child impose that lifestyle on a child.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Pedro. These children that are going to these nightclubs with these parents, you have to blame the parents, right? You have to blame them because these children, they don't know what this is. This is the grooming part you're talking about. This is the indoctrination of what you're talking about with these kids. These parents are introducing a world to these kids that they have no idea what it's about. They don't know what it's about. So
And the parents
that's
are
why you
explaining it to them like parents,
yeah, but
aren't they?
is
Are
it
they
is it
parenting? Aren't
is
they
it that
explaining the world to
fault?
their kids when they take
They're
their kids to a
explaining
drag
it,
queen
but hold on, Tommy. They're explaining it, but that's why you
in a way
have
you don't like?
kids. Hold on now. I'll
Okay,
get to a point that you'll
I am.
understand.
I'm
That's
trying.
why these kids grow up that have high levels of mental illness in their heads because you have parents that are not teaching them correctly. By bringing them to a nightclub, that's not teaching the kid correctly. That's
So you,
messing their
okay?
their brains up. They're like sponges. They absorb a lot. That's why when they become 18 years old, they become homeless or they sell drugs on the street because they had parents that didn't give a shit.
Wow, you're putting it all on the parents, huh? Not even society a little bit, and their apathy towards the government and the two parties that usurp the reins of government out of our hands. Not all for the apathy of our fellow man, having people in tent cities as you give $40 billion to Ukraine. You don't blame a system that looks down on people that are about to near evictions moratoriums while we give money to neo-Nazis overseas. This society that is the biggest arms dealer in the world, who we have weapons of death all over the Saudi lands. Our society is not to blame, but the parents are. It's a lot of burden on the parents. It's interesting.
So
I don't know if I
you're
agree.
telling me that society raises children, brings children.
You've heard that
Uh,
expression, it takes a village. It takes a village. Doesn't it?
so society
Parents need help.
should teach children, but not the parents. Is that what you're
I don't know.
saying?
I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying my observation. Like, I'm not a fascist. I'm not trying to make anything happen. All I'm trying to do is understand you guys' points of view, because we've got bigger problems than this. But
Yeah.
we seem to be calling each other they and the lesbians still. Meanwhile, I mean, they want to indoctrinate people.
Well,
We had a president that wanted
Tommy,
to
what's
ban
the
gay
program?
marriage from the Constitution. He wanted to be proactive
Yeah.
in banning gay marriage from the Constitution. Call that. And by the way, when you talk about rights, guys, but then you speak out of both sides of your mouth. You talk about the mask argument. I don't get it. So they can take their kids to a nightclub, but when they talk up to you about wearing a mask, well, that's just tyranny. I thought we were
It
all
is.
entitled to life, liberty, and happiness. And,
It is. Wearing a mask is
aren't
a
we?
form of tyranny. It's actually a form of socialism if you look it up correctly. Socialism starts out by a form of a tyranny or a tyrant, and then it goes into full-blown communism. That's how Cuba was started. That's how
That's how Cuba
socialist
started.
Venezuela was started. That's how all these countries became to what they are now through forms of tyranny, whether it was wearing a mask or Go ahead, Pedro.
Government
cut you off.
compliance. Basically, you strip away one freedom at a time, and eventually you have no freedoms left. And you're right. That's how it was done in Cuba. I'm a Cuban American. I was born and raised in Miami from Cuban parents, so I'm very familiar with the Castro regime and the techniques and tactics they used to basically take control of society and strip all the rights and privileges, political, economic, and create a repressed society, basically under a tyrannical form of government where they had no freedoms, no freedom of expression, no freedom of speech. They couldn't own any weapons. Consequently,
But didn't
140,000
the
people
CIA
murdered,
didn't the
killed.
CIA run weapons with rebels to try to overthrow those governments because for oil and
The CIA
resources?
for
Didn't
years
the
tried.
CIA undermine these South American governments? And didn't they? Isn't that the reason why they really did crumble? And it wasn't the socialism, or any kind of form of government. It was the fact that we meddle and regime change wars in other countries.
Regime change.
Is that the reason? It's funny how that slips your mind when you're CIA and you want to blame it on their form of government when you guys were literally responsible for all of the underminings of every government since goddamn Cold War. Even before that, 1954, you guys have been overthrowing countries. You guys have been stealing resources.
Hey, Tommy.
You guys have been spreading propaganda.
Tommy, we're talking about Cuba.
I'm just saying.
T-
Yeah, we're talking
We're
about
Tommy,
talking
Cuba
about
and how
Cuba.
the CIA tried to kill Fidel Castro 29 times and couldn't do it. How come y'all couldn't kill him? He was just such a tyrant, right?
there you go, Pedro. Hey, Tommy, let me cut you off there for a minute. Hey, Pedro, let's drop the pipe bomb down. Excuse me, the pipe bomb, right? Let's drop the pipe bomb down on this show. Let's explain to him what you're exactly talking about. Let's piggyback off the
Yeah.
last show I had you on my show. What did you
All I
say
know
on
is
my
you're
last
CIA,
show?
bro, and you're spreading a lot of propaganda, as CIA people
No,
do.
he's
No,
not.
That's my
Pedro,
observation right now. That's my observation.
Pedro,
Right now.
go get into the deep state of muck that we got into the show last time, and then maybe Tommy will understand.
one thing I talked about last time was mindsets, mind control. You basically try to shape the mind of an individual with information, just bombard an individual with information until you basically get them to believe whatever you want them to believe. You basically begin to control individuals, control a population. And we've seen that in the United States of America. The media
CIA.
has become basically a form of organized crime.
Today, I want to
Controlled by
explain
the
why I support the
Democrats
marriage.
To basically tell the American people what they want them to be told. The Russia hoax, my goodness, it has been completely unraveled. It has been proven that it was nothing much more than a hoax. Every single witness that went behind closed doors in the Congress, whether the Senate or the House of Representatives, said there was no Russia collusion. Every single principal, Clapper, Brennan, so forth, said behind closed doors, no Russia collusion. Yet what did we get? Adam Schiff, week after week after week after week, with his press allies and with his congressional allies, Senate allies, saying, yes, there was Russia collusion. Yes, there was Russia collusion. And eventually they led it all the way up to impeach. So basically, you just lie through your teeth so much that what will happen is people will believe your lie. That's what we have going on in the United States of America. The same type of brainwashing that they have done politically, they're trying to do to our children, trying to brainwash children to see, oh, it's okay for men to dress like women. Oh, it's okay for a man to think that a man is a woman, or vice versa, for a woman to think that she's a man. My goodness, all you got to do is go to the mirror, drop your pants, and find out what you are. If you've got certain equipment, you're a man. If you got other kind of equipment, you're a woman. Don't try to be a woman if you're a man, or a man if you're a woman.
Okay, thanks for the advice. Pedro. Can I say something? Just one thing. I just want to say one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I just want to tell the audience that Operation Mockingbird is an alleged large-scale program of the United States Central Intelligence Agency that attempted to manipulate news, media for propaganda purposes, and according to Deborah Davis, recruited American journalists to help in their propaganda, to change the narratives. So everything that this guy is saying that they do, whoever they are, the CIA has literally done with Operation Mockingbird. It's true. You can find it on Wikipedia, guys. Just to let you know.
You know, Tommy, we had this content, this material that was on your show with a former military personnel, right? What was he? He was just a regular military guy, right? This guy,
yes,
Chris, that was on your show?
Intelligence analyst. He was the analyst.
Chris actually, with all due respect, had to put you in your place when you were calling these military personnel, these people of the military, literally war pigs. Which they are not.
I would never say war pigs. The only people I would call pigs are the cops. I would never call military people pigs. Don't put words in my mouth, bro.
You called them something. I forgot the words that you had called them.
I think murderers probably, or something like that. Yeah.
But do you understand that these people are defending our country, our liberties and freedoms?
They believe that
these sick, demented nut job lunatics in Dallas, Texas, that brought these kids to a freaking nightclub. These are the men and women that are defending our country, the greatest country on the face of the earth, that we have so many freedoms, so many liberties, that these sick lunatics, these disgusting individuals do not hold for I'm losing words because I'm a little heated up.
We're all getting heated. It's all good. Let it out, bro.
They don't look at this country like that. The
Who's
greatest
they?
country in the world.
You still haven't told me that.
What do you want me to call them? What do you want to be
Okay,
called them? They
Michael.
want to call
First of all,
they,
who's
he,
they? How are
she,
we the
he,
biggest country
she.
that?
I don't know the correct
I'm.
pronouns, because if I say the wrong
I
pronouns,
don't care
then
about pronouns, bro.
I'm the one that's
That's a good one though.
you know.
I don't know. Look. I don't know the pronouns either, bro. But all I can say is that we need to try to be the people that we, espouse in our principles and values, right? If you espouse to
Yeah.
be a Christian, then blessed are they who inherit the kingdom of heaven because of their meekness and their humility, and blessed are right. So did Jesus talk about these sick people, whoever they are, or did he say to Mary Magdalene, "Come and follow me"? Like I don't. Are we going to live with our principles and values? Or are we going to try to hold ourselves accountable with our
Actually,
principles and
Jesus
values,
was
or are we gonna
Jesus was
continue
the
to
was the
demonize each
create
other?
was the cr- Jesus was the greatest scholar in world history. He taught a
Yeah,
lot of accurate teachings. A lot of
totally.
people look at Jesus an incorrect type of teacher. You can learn a lot from Jesus. I say
Yeah,
that every single time.
I have a music education degree, and I say stories are actually the best way to get people to learn because they relate to those stories. So
Yeah.
Jesus was actually amazing. He was a genius. People relate to the stories that you're telling. They incorporate that into their lives. And so, yeah.
You bring
So
up Operation Mockingbird. Pedro can
yeah,
relate on Operation Mockingbird very well. Pedro, didn't you have some
It,
type of influence in that stuff?
Operation Mockingbird is basically nothing more than what's called covert influence in the United States. That's what they call it. The military does it. The CIA is not supposed to do it in the United States of America. So there are allegations that they've done it in the United States of America, but by
Yeah,
law they cannot do it.
yeah.
they did
So
your
there's
We
Steele
a lot of
dossier, Pedro.
misinformation
They
there.
did. They did your Steele
But
dossier,
now,
Brennan.
but
I wanted
now,
to ask you about that.
hang
Your guy
on.
Brennan. He started.
The it's covert influence. Basically, it's feeding stories into the news to shape a narrative.
Right.
The countries do this. All countries do it to shape narratives in other countries, to influence other countries. That's nothing new. Misinformation. It's information warfare, essentially. The Russians had a name for it, actually, the Soviet Union, for that matter, called active measures, where they would try to shape and inform public opinion in other countries with false information. They did a lot of that kind of activity in the United States, promoting basically communism, trying to basically get factions to fight in the United States of America.
Hmm.
It's nothing new. It's an age-old tactic that
Yeah,
goes back to thousands of
Pedro.
years.
Hey,
Yeah,
Pedro. This, like you said,
I
this is
agree.
nothing new. Everything that we're seeing right now in this country has happened before. You know, you know, we. I had you on my show last time, right? I call these pandemics plandemics. It's a plan, Pedro. It's the next narrative to sell in media. That's
Yeah,
truly what it is. You know,
don't get me started with this last pandemic. This last pandemic was nothing much more than a political stunt by the Democrats to
a
seize
diversion.
control.
It was a
A
diversion,
diversion.
Pedro.
Yeah, the covert influence. They pinned it on the Democrats. That's exactly what it was, a covert influence campaign to get political power. Nothing
So,
else.
Pedro, how do you find that? So, when you find this effective, what you just said, the covert influence to influence power, it worked. Whatever they did, it worked. So, how do you feel about that?
Trump got kicked out of Twitter. My goodness, you got tyrants, dictators, China, Iran, North
Yeah,
Korea, the Taliban are in Twitter. You've got all kinds of individuals making all kinds of threats against Israel, pro-Palestinian, kill Israelis, that go on Twitter and they don't get banned. But meanwhile, on 6th January or so, whatever day it was, they just kicked Trump out. Uh,
yeah. Hey,
it,
Pedro.
it's,
Let me
it's
say one thing. Let me say one thing, sir. Okay, you talk about social media, right? Social media, Twitter, right?
yes,
You have murderers across the world. You have terrorists that are across the world. You even have literally uh, uh, just crazy people, on these social media platforms, allowing them to express their content, their material. But when you have a person, a former businessman like Trump, he's not allowed to express all this. He's a disinformer, right? He's causing nothing but COVID disinformation. He's causing a big dangerous plot for America and everything else. We have to get him off of Twitter. We have to get him off of Facebook. We have to get him off of Instagram. He's not allowed, but all these other people are allowed. Why is that?
I love that. That's what I loved about Trump, Michael. because Trump says all the fucking quiet parts out loud. He talks about the military-industrial complex. He talks about Hillary and her fucking Haiti adventures. They couldn't put a muzzle on that guy. He tried so hard, they couldn't do it. It was awesome.
They take them out under the name of content moderation that has a better name for it, censorship. And why they do it is pretty simple. They don't want the truth to be put out. They want to make sure that anybody that has any truth is shut down because they want to push their agenda. They want to push their way. They want to make sure that no opposing view will not be heard. It's censorship. And it's a tool of tyrants. That's exactly how Nazi Germany operated. The Soviet Union functioned and worked. Take Venezuela, take Cuba, take North Korea, take Vietnam. All these communist countries use the same kind of tactics. Silence the opposition. How? Censor them. And it's still being done in China. That's what they do. In China, Twitter basically works with the Chinese government to make sure that anything that goes out that the Chinese government do not want to be out in Twitter is not put in Twitter. So they have the experience of doing the censorship. So if they've done this, they turn the same tools and capabilities against the American citizens, the American public in the United States of America.
Yeah. Let's fuel the other countries. Let's take care of them first before we take care of our own country. That's what's basically going down. I mean, there was just an article that was put out by Breitbart just the other day where the Biden administration is now giving over billions upon billions of dollars to Ukraine. He stopped the funding to Russia. Now all the funding is going to Ukraine. Why is that? Why do we have to send money over to Ukraine? Why can't we take care of our people first that are hurting under this administration? Gas prices at historic highs. Why?
Hatred for Putin, because they believe that Putin influenced the election in 2016 and stole the election from Hillary. So they have basically brainwashed Americans to believe that Russia and Putin are bad. If you look at the historical significance of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, you can go back hundreds of years. For hundreds of years, you've had many national groups, ethnic groups in the Caucasus, in the surrounding regions of the former Soviet Union, Russia, and they've always been fighting with each other. I mean, the fights have been severe. Almost 1.5 million Armenians were butchered and killed by the Turks in the early 1900s. These regions of the world have always been having these kind of problems. On that note, they have conditioned themselves to believe that Russia is bad, that Putin is bad, and they forget two things. One, there was an agreement made in 1991, 1992. I believe it was the Belgrade Accords, where it said that NATO would not expand eastward into the former Soviet Union areas. And the other thing is you had the Budapest Accords. I may have swapped them wrong, but you had the Budapest Accords. And in this particular case, the Ukrainians would give up their nuclear weapons in exchange for basically what would be assurances that the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union, Russia would not be invading, taking over territory, and they would receive assistance from the West if it ever was necessary. But there was one condition to it, and it was basically Ukrainian neutrality.
Yeah.
What you had happening was, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I made a point. We're talking about Ukraine and Russia. When I was on Tommy Nation Politics about a couple weeks ago, I believe, right? If I have it correct, was it a couple weeks ago, Tommy? We brought up the whole Ukraine Russia thing, and I brought into play that it comes down to supremacy. You have two leaders. You have Zelensky and you have Putin. Now, Putin, he just wants all the power, right? He wants his country to flourish, right? This is a former intel officer turned president, right? That's what he wants. He wants that type of regime for his country. You have Zelensky being the babyface that's going to these events and such, Nobel Peace Prize type of guy, You know, he's coming out as the baby face, right? You ever watch professional wrestling? You got a baby face, you got a heel, right? Zelensky is being the baby face, and you got Putin being the heel, right? So Zelensky is basically saying, "I'm doing this for my people, and you know, and I'm such a good guy, and you know, and Putin is a bastard of a man, and this and that." It comes down as a supremacy issue. That's all it comes down as. Who has the bigger muscle?
Ukraine.
I'm sorry. I just want to say, like, I kind of agree with you on the way that everything. By the way, I agree with you on Pedro with the whole history of Ukraine and Russia, and that's all fact. And so good to agree with you on something. But
Good.
basically, Zelensky, this like Pedro said, this whole thing about Ukraine not being a country, they can't join any NATO alliances because some country says they can't because they have to maintain neutrality. That's not a sovereign country, right? So Zelensky, he's always been a puppet. He reminds me of Ashraf Ghani. I feel like Zelensky, the day that they finally go into Kyiv and knock it out, I don't know. I have no idea why they haven't already taken Ukraine. It must be us.
Yeah.
But
every country repeats. Yeah, every country repeats from another country, one way
You're
or
gonna
another.
see Zelensky outside a helicopter with money hanging out of it, just like Ashraf Ghani. I promise you.
Yeah, funded by the Biden administration.
Hey, we agree on that too.
I mean,
it's energy board money, bro. It's energy board money.
It's geopolitics 101.
Yeah.
Great power politics. I mean, Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan is a dog-eat-dog world in geopolitical terms. Russia is a big player in that part of the world. Ukraine is right next to it. How on earth can Ukraine think they can join NATO and be more of a threat to Russia and not get away with it? It's just mind-boggling.
That's a good question.
There's
Russia
similarities.
made it very clear. Putin made it very clear.
Pedro, there's similarities between. I mean, you want to look at history. Look at Adolf Hitler, what he did to the Jews, right? Major conflict what went down with Israel and in Germany, right? Every country repeats from another country of conflict. Right now, the United States is basically repeating history from multiple of different types of countries from different types of events over the course of the last 150, probably 300 years. What we're seeing right now with children right now being indoctrinated and groomed here in this country, other countries have done the same thing. The same thing.
Okay.
I mean,
guys, like literally, there's so much more to worry about. I don't know who's trying. Your kids, you can keep your kids. They're loud. They're messy. They don't have manners. Go keep them. We don't want your kids. All we want is equality. All we want is income.
Yeah.
All we want is financial stability. We want to have food on the table for our families. We want to care for our kids if we have them. But
let's get into this topic here, and maybe Tommy, you'll understand what we mean by what they are doing to these kids. We have to use they because we can't call it a her or a he or an it because that is incorrect pronouns.
I love that joke that you guys make. That's cute. See, that's cute. That's funny.
Well, that's a respectful pronoun. I think is they, right?
You know what?
We're not calling him a he. We're not calling him a she.
Conservatives were just like they cry about the pronouns. George Bush was crying about how they might want to get married. The gay people, like everybody's crying all the time about all of the unimportant shit when two political parties are robbing us, carte blanche, and putting our money into resources overseas.
Yeah, check this clip out. Yeah, check this clip out, Eric. Clip number 4.
I only have one question. Why do you want to put an axe wound in between your son's legs?
That's the point.
Y'all need to go.
Let us in and get the ticket.
You're not making America great.
Yes, we are. What do you mean? You're making America worse. You're bringing your children
You need to go.
to this event.
You need to go now.
You are literally someone better call CPS on you. Please do.
We'll pray for you. You must repent.
Bless you, man. Please. You're in a cult. I'm in a cult. Says the man dressed in a dress.
I wonder if the mama bear instinct is going to come out in 3 years when the mainstream Democrat Party platform is they want to rape your kids. And they're all going to think it's one big...
They're classy, bro. Yeah, that's persuasive as fuck.
You understand what they're saying? In another 5 years, when this movement becomes a little stronger than it actually is, in 5 years
What
from
movement?
now,
What
you're going to
movement,
have
Michael?
from the
What-
Democratic side, you're going to
the Democrat
have
side.
cases upon cases. The next pandemic is going to be about indoctrinating kids and grooming kids. Watch, 5 years. What's today, Eric? June 7, 2022. In 5 years from now, right? 5 years. So that's what? 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So
Have you
2027.
watched the Avengers movies? They're already
You're
indoctrinating
gonna
us with
see
all
the
kinds of
next.
stuff.
You're gonna see the next pandemic of this. And guess what? Guess what? It's not. It's not gonna be about fun and games and jokes and this and that. You're gonna actually have these type of sick parents saying, "Man, now I really feel bad."
About what?
It's already happening,
About what?
Michael.
What are you feeling
We,
bad about?
we already have schools where they're exposing children at 5 years of age to this alternative lifestyle, sexual indoctrination at such a young age, stripping the bathrooms, having no gender bathrooms, no male nor female, or a boy can go into a girl's restroom, a girl can go into a boy's restroom. I mean, we had these issues where there's been rape in some of these bathrooms. It's already happening.
There's been rape
It's
in
only going to
bathrooms.
get worse.
It's almost like there's been rape everywhere in the country, but you want to cherry pick bathrooms because it proves your narrative. Who's this Arculator? What a bunch of losers, and you support that tragedy. Is that, are we live or what? Is that live?
I think that's
This
on
guy-
your panel there. Yeah, I think
Oh,
that's
is
on
it?
your panel. Yeah, you're streaming live on YouTube, so I think that
I
is
am?
on your panel. I believe you are
Oh,
because it says
is
that
that a-
you know,
Is that cool? You said to pair it, right? Hope I didn't
it's
do that.
either coming, Tommy. It's either coming from your panel on YouTube or from Twitch. So actually, I can plug that in right now. That
So,
was in
like,
reference. Yeah,
you got
go ahead.
not everything you say is completely horrible. I agree with you about Ukraine, Russia. We can have facts and we
Well,
can sit together as common
yeah.
brothers and sisters. But guys, when you start to talk about they, I'm still not getting the whole need for generalization, because in our Constitution it says that we're all created equally with inalienable rights of life, liberty, and happiness. We're all rugged individualists. So to say they seems kind of un-American. It doesn't sound like
Well,
the rugged individual spirit that was formed with our a rebellion against tyranny. It sounds like some
Yeah.
kind of, we're going to collectively group you like the Jews. You want to talk about Hitler? What did Hitler do? He generalized, didn't he? So I don't know why the generalizations. I think I'm going to tell you guys. I'm going to warn you. Right wing, that's not good. Shouldn't do that. Left wing, doing it too. Call everybody Russian bots. They started this thing with the hatchet men. I feel like you just got a bunch of neocons in your Republican Party. That the neocons and the neoliberals have metastasized this propaganda into us demonizing each other and not focusing on our priorities.
Tommy,
like I said,
Tommy,
it's ugly.
Tommy.
I'm just going to be honest with you guys. It's ugly.
Tommy, you say a
And
lot.
I love Trump. I love Trump.
Okay. That's
He's
very
cool.
rare that you love Trump, but you're also labeling the GOP party, the Republican Party, that does all
Yes.
these heinous things. I want to
Yeah.
say one thing to you, sir. What
Yeah,
has
please.
Biden done for this country in
Oh my
2
God,
years
nothing.
already?
Let me
What
tell
has
you,
he done?
Biden was the last. What he had, well, he's delivered for his donors, which that Infrastructure and Jobs Act he got passed with 13 Republicans. That gave the contractors, military contractors, infrastructure contractors, government contracts, and so he's funding his donors. He's extracting our wealth from the middle class, just like the Democrats outsourced our jobs with Obama. They're finishing the deal on the middle class, and now they're going to raise taxes to the point where we're not going to own anything and be happy. What the Republicans want to
Wasn't
do
this
is that they want to
wasn't
nuke
this
the
all
entire
that
world.
wasn't this all the same message that Donald Trump said 2 years
Oh,
ago
they do.
before
That's why I love the
Biden
guy,
took
bro.
office? That
I should've believed him.
taxes were going to be raised,
You're
gas
right.
prices were going to be at historic highs.
You're right.
We're going to have open borders, this and that.
Right.
I want to know who voted for this crap. Who voted for all this crap?
I don't know, bro. Black people did not vote for Biden. Let me just tell you that, bro. He's a racist,
Oh,
dementia-riddled old man.
but according to Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, Biden got a majority stronghold from the black community. Where's that information coming from if they didn't vote for Biden?
So as you guys all know, that the Democrats are liars and they continuously lie. They think if they lie enough, that everybody will believe it. That's what they think.
Oh,
They repeat the lie.
That's what I
It's
said
funny.
earlier.
I agree with you on the Democrats. You guys just need to open the other eye to the crazy Republicans that want to. Putin wants to do nukes, then I'll do nukes. That's what Lindsey Graham said. You guys need to
Okay,
watch these bloodthirsty cretins on your side too. So I'm just saying, guys. I'm gonna watch the neoliberals. Y'all watch your Lindsey Grahams, okay? They're crazy.
there are serious issues on the Republican side as well, no doubt about it. They're just as guilty of playing the political spoil system, of taking care of their donor base, taking care of their
Agreed.
special interests, just like the Democrats do.
And we both sides we agree on this, guys. See, this is what we need to come together for.
But we
We
don't
need to
agree
stop
on the
this shit.
groomer issue. You don't think that there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong
because
with
literally, you're just. I feel like you're. Well, because I feel like. Okay, so let me just give you my insight, both of you. Okay, I grew up, and this is why I have the clip of George W. Bush. I grew up a gay man in the '90s. Now, my parents are Christians, and I grew up a Christian. That's why I read the Bible, and I love Jesus. I do. As a person, I don't know if he's God, because at this point, I feel like everything has just been what is it called, with tall-tailed, that I don't know what's true and what's not because of, like Pedro said, the propaganda. But all I knew is that when I was a kid, I didn't have any sexual desires at all, but I had Jonathan Taylor Thomas posters in my room because I wanted a friend. I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. I was very confused. I was very scared. Then I had this church telling me that I was going to hell. There was no way I could prevent it. Then I had the president, George W. Bush, saying that he was going to proactively ban me from getting married. I didn't know it was me at the time. But meanwhile, I'm thinking to myself,
let me
finish.
ask
Just let me finish, Michael. I just
Yeah,
want to
go
show
ahead,
you.
go
I want to tell you how I feel. So basically, I have a president that wants to ban my relationships. I have a church that thinks I'm going to hell and I'm a deviant, and then me. What do I start to think about myself, Michael? I start to hate myself. I really did hate myself. I hid from myself. I didn't tell anybody. I tried to date women because I was on the basketball team. I did everything I could to hide myself. Every time I had a feeling, I felt bad. I felt like I wanted to die. And
Yeah.
then I went to college, and I said fuck it. And saying fuck it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Because these people vote
I
for
wanna-
Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah, I want to say
and they're dumb.
I want to say
And
one
we
thing.
have
'cause I
life,
got-
liberty, and happiness. Go ahead.
Exactly. I want to say one thing because I got to get into a sponsor here. Here's one thing on the groomer issue, okay? And maybe we can educate the uneducated here on this show that just truly don't understand what myself or Pedro is referring to on this whole issue, okay? Because when you don't explain correctly, people will not know, right? Or they won't understand it correctly. Here's one thing. These kids are 7, 8 years old that went to this nightclub, okay, by their parents. Their parents brought them along, okay? Now, these kids may not show any signs of bisexual expressions. They might not be gay. They might not be. They might not have even an interest of drag or transsexual preferences. They might just be a normal kid. When you introduce this to a child at a young age, what you're doing is you're computerizing their brain sets, okay, thinking that this behavior is the only way in life. That's why you have children that grow up to be transsexual, bisexual, and gay, because it's introduced to them usually at a young age. Now, I'm not making this information up. This information is actually would be explained to you uh, by a practice therapist that usually handles this type of stuff. Therapist. You would see this from a therapist. Okay? When people grow up to be gay, they just don't they don't be gay. Wait, I got to say my vocabulary correctly. They don't turn gay just with a snap of a finger. It's brought to them at a young age. They might even been sexually assaulted by a family member. Okay,
But
That's
not all of them. Not all
where
of
the
them.
mental illness gets played out. Now, these children that went to this nightclub, my hearts go out to them because it's not their fault that they were introduced to this erratic, disturbed behavior, because it is. It's erratic, disturbed behavior. Some people look at it as a form of art. I don't. I look at it as it's a disgusting type of piece of content. Okay, and I don't support that one bit.
I feel the same way about football. So that's
Well,
erratic behavior.
football and
There's a
what we're
flag. There's
talking about is two different
a penalty.
things.
I
You're
mean, I
talking
feel like
about a
it's.
sport.
I feel like it's worse because it's literally a worship ceremony to the
Well,
corporations. If you ever do a
we're
football game,
we're talking about children being exposed to adult entertainment at a
right?
young age, and you're talking about sports, combat
Yeah. Yes,
sports.
I'm talking
That's
about our
two different ball
society.
games.
I'm talking about
Two
our
different
society
ball
and the
games. Yeah.
values and principles that we basically try to employ on people, and the things we report to employ on people. This Jesus
Okay.
mentality and this capitalist mentality are two different animals, and they're in conflict
Okay.
with each other.
I'm gonna respond to this comment coming off of Twitch. Okay, from
Are you writing it down? All right,
Orca
go, Michael.
Relat. I don't have his name correct. Orca Relato 35. I'm terrible with names. Pronouncing them. That's wrong. You're basically saying that Tommy's parents did something wrong and that he was gay. No, I didn't mention Tommy whatsoever. I'm mentioning.
You don't have to. That's what you're saying,
Yeah.
though. That's what you're saying, right?
I'm not mentioning your parents. I didn't say your parents one bit in this conversation.
Yes, but
I'm
you said
talking
gay
about
people.
kids as a whole. Kids as a whole, it's not their fault that they become gay later in life. It's the parents' fault that don't teach basic principles. Am I right or am I wrong, Pedro? I mean,
You're right. I mean, we see the same thing happen with girls who become prostitutes, where they had some parents that had some issues, may have been engaged in that kind of a behavior, may have been involved in drugs, and they follow the same pattern, and they'll get involved in prostitution and become prostitutes. It's no different.
I have a question. Why are you guys like Joe Biden? You're like pretty much like the Joe Biden crime bill. These drug dealers, these people that they evolved, they're super predators, right? No conscience, no empathy. We'll figure out how they got that way. First, they have to bring them to heel this erratic behavior, right? You guys sound just like Joe Biden.
Let's stay on topic here.
Hold on, Pedro. Hold on for a minute. I'll give you
You
the
really
floor
do.
one
You
bit.
sound just like Joe Biden in the 1990s.
Hold on, Tommy. I'm
Everything's
gonna give Pedro the floor. Okay, this is coming from a president that said to black people, "You're not black if you don't vote for Joe Biden." And
Yeah,
kids
but that's
used
white.
to run up.
That's white.
Kids used to run up my leg in the summer and feel my leg, and my hairs used to turn white in the sun, and this and that. Yeah, that's pedophilia 101. But go ahead, Pedro. The floor is yours, sir.
I mean, we see a comment here wrong. You can't compare gay and prostitutes. The issue here is if you synthesize, you expose an individual to certain things, they're going to be predisposed to continue in it and become more proficient in it.
Like racism? Like racism? No,
Racism
never mind.
works
Like
the
prostitutes.
same
Like
way.
prostitutes. Like gays. My
If you
bad.
train someone to be a racist, they're going to turn out to be a racist unless they rescind and revoke such a state of mind or state of being or disposition. When you're talking about an individual that is exposed to sexual activity at a very early age, you're certainly going to develop an individual who is going to go the wrong way. Whether it be gay, whether it be prostitution, whether it be sexual perversion, whether it be pornography, you're basically setting an individual up for failure. That's how people get hooked on pornography. You have cases of fathers who will expose their boys to pornographic materials. And unfortunately, sadly, those boys will grow up to have a problem with pornography. It's no different when it comes to basically the gay lifestyle of trying to expose children to a gay lifestyle mindset. You basically are trying to tell a boy, it's okay if you think you're a woman. Or you're trying to tell a girl, it's okay if you think you're a man. And it's okay for you to lust and like a man. It's okay for you to like and lust a woman to woman, man to man. You are exposing children to these lifestyles at an early age, trying to groom them to become what you want them to be, rather than allow a man to be a man, and a boy to be a man as he grows up, or a woman to be a woman, or a girl to be a woman as she grows up. I mean, male and
Pedro,
female.
can I ask you a question about that though? What if we just want people to be proud and happy with who they are and feel content in who they are as a person? What
Who
if we
they
just
are
want
as
that
a person.
instead of the
God
other thing?
created them
Like,
male and
we do a
female.
plan B. Okay.
A boy grows up to be a man. A
Okay.
girl grows up to be a woman.
I get you guys get these.
Woman is
You have
a
these
woman.
hardcore roles and
No,
stuff.
no
I
matter
get you.
how much a woman
But what
looks
if we
at
just
a
want
mirror
people
and
like
says, "I'm a man," she is still a woman. No
I
matter
want,
I
how
hear
much
you
I'd like
a
you
guys.
to,
man looks in the
I'd like you
mirror
to answer
Yeah.
that
and says, I'm
question.
a woman, he's still a man.
I
You can't.
guys, I hear. Let's keep this conversation going. I got to get a quick sponsor in, guys. We have
Okay.
two promo codes here. We're gonna put on the show here, guys. Um, basically, we have a huge advertisement going on with Amazon Music, guys. If you go over to getamazonmusic.com/, the Patriot Angle podcast, you're going to get the first 30 days for free. That's right, guys, on us. Now, what you decide to do after 30 days is on you, but you get 30 days for free for Amazon Music. Now, you have access, guys, to over 50 million songs, podcasts, talk shows on Amazon Music. That's right, guys. GetAmazonMusic.com/the Patriot Angle. Phenomenal stuff. Also, too, guys, we have another promo code coming on from Helium 10. That's right, guys. If you're into the e-commerce business, you're trying to find a platform to sell your material, your products, you're trying to find a really good affiliate of a company, right? Head over to Helium 10. They are partnered right now with Walmart.com and Amazon.com. That's right, guys. Head over to Helium 10. Use promo code Patriot10. Just by using that promo code, you will have 10% off every single month as long as your membership is active. That's right, guys. Promo code Patriot10 and you get 10% off. Or the first month, if you use Patriot50, you get 50% off the first month. So great set of promo codes. I want to get back into this conversation with Pedro and Tommy. Tommy came up with a point here. Did you want to say that again, Tommy?
Yeah, what if we were just trying to? Because there's a big. We've noticed this with the mass shootings. There's a big, deep disconnection with people's and their communities, uh, people and their families. Like you're saying, one thing I really like about right wing is that I don't really agree with what you guys are saying about grooming, but I do appreciate the fact that you really do. Your values are based in a family unit, and you guys are very loyal to that. And it's more principled than any kind of anything Joe Biden could ever say or lie about. I really do respect and admire those principles.
But here's the
But
principles. Here's the
but
principles, Tommy, that we're trying to
but
say here.
but it could create some kind of prejudice, bro. You have to be aware of that. And
Okay, prejudice,
don't
but
you
we're
think?
also. Uh, I'll give you a little bit of that, but I'll also explain to you why myself, Pedro, and probably the majority of millions of Americans probably feel the same way. Um, Principal values of this type of content that Pedro was just explaining here on this show uh, basically represent the original formula of America. Uh, the whole "Make America Great Again" is not just a bumper sticker. It's actually true. These are the original roots of America. These were the basic foundation of principles. Stuff that you see going on now today in America with transphobia, gay, homosexual acts. Yes, there was homosexuals back then. There were transsexuals back then, but that group of people, they respected society, they respected culture.
They had fear. They had fear. Just so you know, they were afraid
Afraid of what?
for their lives because if anybody found out who they were and what they were doing, they would be stoned, killed, murdered, burned, pushed off buildings. They would be literally murdered if anybody found out. So they had respect and fear for their society that didn't have.
But what I'm
I mean,
trying to say,
I guess that's a respect.
Tommy,
That's a respect, though.
yeah, what I'm trying to say, Tommy, is that by going back to these original roots of a formula here in this country, it preserves not only our nation, but it saves our sanity levels literally by the end of the day. Because when you have stuff that you see on mainstream media, when you see these kids, little kids, sometimes you would have a tear in your eye. Literally, when I seen that video come out on Fox and CNN, and they're not really talking about it now because it's not the mainstream agenda. They're worried about other stuff by attacking Trump, or they're worried about he's sleeping with another prostitute, or he's having Chinese prostitutes pay on him or something. They're talking about stupid nonsense, but they really should be talking about this this disgusting behavior, because it's disgusting. These kids are being exposed to disgusting,
This
erratic
disgusting
behavior.
behavior is the parents' behavior of taking them. Just to be
Y-
clear, that's the
yes,
disgusting behavior. Okay, cool.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. These kids, you know where they should be? They should be at home learning their ABCs, their numbers, and further in their education. So by the time they've reached 18 years old, they know what the hell they want to do in life, instead of being a fucking TikTok star or going on YouTube and shaking their asses and tweeting. They should be in a freaking library or at home with their parents, and their parents should be teaching them about stuff they should be learning, not about a fucking man in a woman's dress tweaking her ass or his ass or whatever the hell you want to call them. They should be at home learning, Tommy,
Tweaking
not
your
at a
ass.
not at a freaking nightclub, not at a
Teaching
Okay.
them
nightclub.
how to teaching
All
kids how to
right.
write, how to read, how to do math, how to be responsible, how to know how to win, how to know
And
how to lose,
we still
how
vote
to
for
compete
Democrats
in
and Republicans,
sports.
even though we know those stuff.
Yeah.
Still
I
vote
mean,
for
that's how you make America great again. I mean, it goes back to basically the local community, raising responsible kids to be responsible adults. Uh, you're right on that, Michael. Absolutely. I
When you
mean,
frame it like that, I agree with that. Responsible
I
kids
mean,
raising responsible adults.
taking these kids to such events is borderline child abuse. I mean, you have kids who are
Taking them
pulled
to
out of
literally
houses.
Chili's is
The
borderline abuse
parents
for
lose
me.
custody of their children because they may be spanked. Spanking, for example. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe issues of medical care, maybe issues with.
What's worse, spanking or drag shows?
Uh, I mean,
Psychologically.
psychologically, there is a place for rearing a child where you teach a child what's right and what's wrong. You don't abuse a child. You don't inflict physical harm on a child. But I mean, my
Pedro,
goodness,
you never answer any of my
we had
questions. Let me tell you something.
paddles in school. Did you ever get paddled in school? I
Hell
mean,
no, my mom would have kicked their asses.
I didn't get
Actually.
paddled, but I got threatened to be paddled one time.
Hey Pedro, let me say something. That's what's wrong with some of these kids today. Some of these kids, I tell you right now, and I'm going to be looked at as an abuser by saying this, but it's the absolute truth, Pedro. Because you and I know you're a lot older than me, but I understand what you mean by what you just said, paddling a child. Some of these kids today, Pedro, they need a good ass whooping.
Yeah,
But by their parents, though, not the school.
it'll solve a lot of problems.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, but you can't do that now,
It was
Pedro,
still a
because
problem.
No, you'll
if
lose custody of a child. You'll be
you'll
accused of
you'll be
prison.
sent to prison, and the kid will go into a freaking orphanage, for Christ's sakes.
What's the
You
most
know,
immediate problem that would solve for kids? Solve this problem. Example? Like where it would
better
correct them.
education, better
Correct.
education, less entertainment. Okay, because I do believe that modern technology and video games today is literally poisoning the mindsets of the next generation of youth.
Definitely make us lazy. That's for sure. Make it all these games. I think you're right about that.
Laziness, also being overstimulated. You've got kids that are being accused of being basically ADHD, and they really don't have ADHD. It's just they can't
No,
have an
Ugh.
attention span. They can't
it's just
focus.
our pharmaceutical company needs them to have
Then you
ADHD.
also have kids who have problem with relationships. They can't keep relationships and not learning relationships because they're too busy basically being in front of a computer screen or a tablet or a
Well, yeah,
phone.
Pedro, the computer screen is basically the new version of the nanny, the babysitter. I mean, that's where these kids are learning this type of behavior. From YouTube videos, from violence of video games. I could say, let me say something with the video games here. Okay, video games, yeah, they've been around forever. I mean, my first video console was an Atari. I'm starting to show my age already. You know, um, yeah. But at the end of the day, with these video games back then, with Pac-Man and all these other types of, I mean, even the original, I think the original, what the hell was it? Guerrilla Warfare or something with Nintendo. Pedro,
Don-
I knew, I knew it
Donkey
was
Kong,
Donkey
Pac-Man.
Kong. Yeah, but see, Pedro, I knew. See, here's what's wrong with today's society versus society from my generation. At the end of the day, with the video game, I knew me and my friends that were playing the video game. This was all fantasy. This was all make believe. Now you have children that are playing these video games, even including teenagers, right? Adolescent kids, 13, 14, 15 years old, playing these violent video games. And then they think that it's okay. Because by the time they reach 21, 22 years old, they go out down the street. Somebody pisses them off. Maybe they just broke up with their girlfriend. And then they go shoot somebody. They think it was okay in the video game, so they're going to do it out in broad daylight.
I think I would agree with you with that's bad parenting. Now that's bad parenting. All right, that's the parents' fault. If they
What-
think
Hold
it's
on,
okay,
Tommy. Tommy, parenting, but it's not. But this is something that you would get from the liberal. Oh, it's not bad parenting. It's bad marketing. It's the
Yeah.
marketers that are doing this to our children, not the parents. The video game companies are creating mass shootings in the United States, not
I
the
know.
parents. Come
I know.
on.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, they're insidious liars, the liberals, and then you guys are like kind of all about the grooming and stuff. You say keywords and cues and stuff. It's
We're
nice.
not we're
But
we're not about attacking the LGBTQ plus or alphabet people. Sorry, I had to put that in.
one of the reasons why you conservatives get censored a lot is because you don't ever like really consider what you say until after you say it. That's why there's
You
so
know
many
why?
apologies from Republicans.
You know why I get censored all the time? Because I speak the truth, and the liberal leftist machine, they don't like the truth.
You're
That
right,
is correct.
but
They don't want-
you could tell the truth in like a more persuasive way.
They
right?
don't want to know
Is
the
that okay?
truth. It's like adults going back to their kindergarten selves when Tommy took the red ball because Sarah wanted the red ball. Oh, Tommy got the red ball. I'm sorry, I'm using her name, but Tommy
So
got
this
the
is where
red
we're left
ball.
with to me.
Well,
This is how I
but
feel.
Sarah,
It's like
you know
you
what I
guys are
mean?
all about the blah 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 blah. They're insidious liars. It's like,
Th-
can we please just have a
Now,
country that works for all of us, not the
on,
few?
on,
Can we please
on
get
this
back to our
topic,
inalienable rights?
this is how bad things are on this topic.
Ah.
I think it was last night or 2 nights ago. One of the baseball teams had Pride Night. I believe it may have been the Tampa Bay Rays baseball team. A few baseball players who are conservative Christians did not want to put on the Pride colors on their uniform. And they were attacked for it, for not putting on the Pride colors on their uniform. That's what I mean by that militant behavior, where they impose their will on us. Why can't these players not put the colors on?
I don't give a shit if they do or not. Personally, you're right. But we should have freedom and liberty. I would rather and the militant behaviors from everybody on every side, saying every kind of thing. If you watch Lindsey Graham and all of our Republicans and Democrats that are supposed to represent us, they're the ones mirroring that. They're parenting us to do it. Just so you know, every time they're on television talking about how much they want to have a no-fly zone and their aggression towards other countries. Why do you think we're so aggressive here in our domestic policy? Because our parents are domestic over there. Guys, it's all fits together. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, as we conclude this this episode, a very heated episode, guys. I did make a warning prior to this episode that this episode might be a little heated.
Dude, this is gonna be the best TV ever, bro.
I'm sure it is because
I still want to know what you think about Brennan, Pedro. What do you think about Brennan pulling the Steele dossier with Rachel Maddow? What do you
Brennan,
think about those guys?
I work for Panetta, Hayden, Goss, Tennant, Petraeus,
Oh,
Brennan, and Morrell, and also Pompeo.
yeah.
Brennan was my least favorite of them all. He was basically just a bureaucrat. That's all he was.
You
I
mentioned
mean-
Pedro. You mentioned Pompeo.
Yes.
You want side comments on that? Unless
Well-
I'm sure, hopefully you won't offend him because I don't know if you know this, Pedro, but this show gets gets reached on a lot of different angles. So
My favorite was Panetta out of all of them. Pompeo was just basically just another individual who came in who wanted to pad his resume so that he can move on, and he moved on as soon as he could to state to continue padding his resume so that he can sell himself to present himself to be a presidential candidate.
yeah,
Pompeo did absolutely nothing at all while at CIA or state to combat the lies of the Russia hoax. Pompeo did nothing for me as a whistleblower. When I went up to his number 3, the reprisals against me actually intensified. And even though I continued to reach out to his number 3, Brian Bulatow, they did nothing for me and they fired me. And all I did was basically provide them with the truth. I documented everything. They had all the information. Furthermore, it was because of Pompeo that Gina Haspel became basically the deputy director of CIA and then eventually the director of CIA.
And CEO Raytheon.
Haspel, per press reporting, was the DCOS London who was involved in part of the Russia hoax. And there's a lot more to Haspel. Haspel basically is what I call a defender of the bureaucracy, a protector of the bureaucracy.
Pedro, it's funny. It's funny that we see everything today with this administration than the last administration, right? And what I mean by funny is, you see actual corruption now in this administration versus the last administration. You see foreign corruption. You see stuff that's going on with NATO. You see stuff that's, literally, it's all over the board.
Who picked Pompeo? What president?
Pompeo was picked. Pompeo was a congressman from the state of Kansas, and President Trump picked Pompeo to be his director of CIA because Pompeo is a graduate of West Point. He had military credentials, and he also has business credentials. I mean, he's a very well-prepared individual. But at the end of the day, our biggest problem within the Republican ranks is what I call the rhinos, and Republicans in names only. They have no spine. They have no backbone. They do not stand up for the truth, nor do they stand up to defend America. Yeah. They're basically more interested in themselves and what kind of power and influence they can get.
Pedro, you bring up a good point. You call them rhinos. You know what I call them? I call them turncoats. That word is used very loosely today in American politics. It's actually an old term, an old American term that they used in the early 1900s and even the 1800s. Turncoats. When you had the original Republican Party known as the Whigs. And what the Whigs would do is that they would literally bow down. You ever see that old, was it Wayne's World, when they were like, "We're not worthy. We're not worthy. We suck. We're not." Yeah, that was literally Wayne and Garth, in the Whigs, bowing down to the Democratic Party because they were more worried about filling their pockets than actually doing good for the American people. And we see that in the Republican Party today. We see them. The turncoats. They'll agree on any narrative or any political message of agenda by the radical left because, Pedro, we have to. They are radical left.
They're not radical left. 13 Republicans joined these radical leftists and voted for the infrastructure bill. They're literally called corporatists. Yeah. That's it. There's nothing leftist about a corporatist.
Do you think that they're the same great party? Do you think that they're the same great party?
No, but I don't think that's.
Hold on. You're cutting me off here. I want to tell you something here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Do you think that they're the same party like JFK was? They're not the same party of JFK. JFK. That's why a lot of exactly. That's why a lot of people disliked JFK. They even called JFK a turncoat. They're like, "Oh, he acts more like a Republican than a Democrat."
Right.
He was against abortion, and he was for gun rights. JFK. JFK would be a conservative Republican in today's world.
Oh, without a doubt. That's probably why. Pedro. Sadly, I think that's
why a conservative Republican. What's the thing? He was for what? Did you say
JFK was more of a conservative on some social issues, on foreign policy issues, and on the Second Amendment, weapons, guns. He was pro-guns, pro-Second Amendment. He was pro-life. He was basically a staunch anti-communist. He would be seen nowadays as a
Staunch
conservative
anti-communist.
Republican.
What
JFK,
about
John F.
the Bay of
Kennedy.
Pigs? He stopped the CIA from trying to assassinate Fidel Castro. The Cuban Missile Crisis, right? That whole situation where he had to stop the military from doing
Pedro,
things.
this is what's wrong with American politics today.
Is
Because
that a fact? Cuban Missile Crisis. Kennedy's.
no,
We
Tommy,
had the embargo.
this is what's wrong with politics today because everybody relies more on media than actual facts.
Okay.
We talked about a lot of good things today. We talked about indoctrinating children today, grooming, which is disgusting. Okay, a lot of people still don't want to agree with that, but whatever. Maybe one day they'll get their acts together. We talked about foreign policy. We talked about everything. Let's go back to politics real quick before we close it out here. All right, because I'm getting tired and I need a glass.
I still have a live stream. By the way, I was gonna invite you, Michael. I have a live stream tonight if you want to.
Oh yeah, by far, yeah. I'll be on your show because I have to piggyback off of what we talked about tonight. I'll blow up your show if you want.
We were meant to talk, bro. Us right and us left. We were meant to talk.
Hey, Tommy, it's all about getting the truth out there. Whether you're a liberal show, a far right show, a far left show, a fucking communist show, I don't care. It's all about getting the truth out there, the right truth. This is what's wrong with the politics today, and I'm gonna tell you right now. Politicians and the general public, even politicians, they rely more on media fictional facts than the actual truth. That's what's wrong. The media truly runs this country, literally. Yeah. If Fox 5 goes down Midtown Atlanta tonight and says that man was attacked because he was black, do you know how much that's going to sell as a headline tonight? It might not have nothing to do with that. It might not have nothing to do with that. The cops probably arrested him because he probably has a huge rap sheet. He probably has a huge amount of charges. He was attacked because he shouldn't be in society. He's a criminal. That's why he's attacked. Has nothing to do with the damn race card. I'm getting tired of hearing the damn race card get played out.
Everybody should be innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. Because in this country, we have due process. And just to let everybody know, even though the Patriot Act is still in effect, we still have due process.
In today's world, with the radical Democrats, you are basically guilty until proven innocent. And then if you're proven innocent, you're still guilty in their eyes. Take Rittenhouse, for example. And take Trump, for example, with the Russia hoax.
You guys are right about that, but it's not the radical left. It's literally it's human resources, bro.
Yeah, I'm going to respond to this this Twitch thing here because I'm getting whoever the hell this person is. I'm getting a lot of activity from this guy on Twitch.
You are.
I don't have Twitch. I'm a grown man. I'm 40 years old. I don't have time to play video games.
I'm trying to gather everyone I can.
I'm sorry. I'm a grown man. I don't play video games. I work for a living. I have 3 streams of income. I'm always staying busy. But this person here says that U.S. should have. Here, I'll respond to it. U.S. should have 2 political parties because those parties can't reflect the 300+ million. And here's my comment on that, okay, as I close it out. I don't think it's a party issue.
I know. That's why you call them the rhinos, because you don't want to accept the fact
I don't think it's a party issue because we see more conflict on the far right as we do on the far left. You know what I think it is?
Corporatists?
I think it's a media issue because when you eliminate, and this goes back to this goes back to what I just said. When you eliminate the media in this country, not totally eliminate it, let me rephrase that. When you eliminate their powerful type of weaponry, I want to call it here, okay? When you eliminate their way of influencing our society and our culture, that's when you get rid of the divide. That's when you get rid of all the radicalized agendas. Truly. Watch. Go take the media now and then take the media back in the 80s and 70s and 60s, you'll see a huge, significant difference. I promise you that. I promise you that. Maybe,
Telecommunications Act of
maybe just,
1995.
maybe just YouTube will have old videos of what the media actually represented it in the 70s, 80s, and 60s than what they represent now.
You can look at Watergate. You can look at
Let's
the Pentagon Papers in the 70s. The media
I've
was
heard.
considered the fourth estate. They
Yeah.
would publish the truth. They would publish the facts. They were more interested in providing truth to the people.
Yeah. Hey,
That was
Less
their necessary
quiet,
function. That was their function.
But unfortunately, nowadays, they're no longer publishers of truth. They're now publishers of propaganda, the narrative
Correct.
that they want you to believe. And even when the truth is provided to counter their claims, they try to shut the truth down. They try
Yeah.
to censor it. They try to shut you down. They try to get you kicked off of Twitter, get kicked out of Facebook, get kicked out of LinkedIn. You cannot post truth on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook without the tech tyrants shutting you down.
Hey, Pedro, you know where you're
Agreed.
allowed to
Agreed.
post truth at? You know where you're allowed to post truth at now, right?
Where are you allowed to post
Truth.
truth?
yeah, Truth Social.
Exactly.
And Getter's pretty good.
Amen to that, right?
Yes.
It's so
No
silly.
censorship or fact checking there, because guess what? We actually screen out the liberal fact checkers on True Social.
How do you do that? Anybody who
I'm
went to
not-
Harvard?
I'm not liberty to say, but yeah. But good stuff, guys. Stay on the line here. We're going to close it out. Thank you very much, Tommy Nation Politics. If you want to follow Tommy Nation Politics, you can follow him on YouTube, Tommy Nation Politics. You're also on Instagram, Tommy Nation Politics. Am I forgetting any other platform, sir? I know you're on Spotify. Any other?
Facebook.com/TommyNationPolitics. You can go to www.TommyNationPolitics. Like, subscribe, share the videos, hit the notifications bell. And thanks for letting me be on your show, Michael. I hope.
Oh, by the way, Tommy, are you? Yeah, are you on
Good.
True Social yet?
I just really like the social media thing. I don't really care about anymore. I think it's lame.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I like Twitch more.
There. You know how I love teasing you, but again,
bro, I like teasing you. Come on the show, bro, and you too, Pedro.
Yeah. Good to meet you.
We need to have a little one-on-one about the CIA.
Hey, Tommy, I did tell you.
I liked it because you can handle it.
I did.
You won't answer any of my questions, but you can handle me.
This man is full of knowledge. I told you, you'll be very impressed. I love having him on my show.
I am impressed.
Stay on the line. Stay on the line. Send me that invite, Tommy. I'll be on your show briefly. But I gotta talk to Pedro here off the air. But yeah, I'll see you in a little bit, buddy.
Bye.